insulted everybody.
Returned yesterday.
I'll be quiet.
To me being single, I thought you were gonna beat my ass. What I really was, Kim.
But be careful, because what you throw away as trash, somebody else sees as a gold mine.
Feeling this is the Bilal I prayed for.
I should say, oh, Jovi, I'm sorry. Please, Jovi, sorry. Forgive me. That's how you want me to be?
But I needed to live this weekend no matter how hard it was. I needed that to come out.
I asked her to come with me to Boston, but I don't want her to be there, so.
And I'm gonna live a good life. I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna put Liz first, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's so cute.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today is the final part of the Happily Ever After tell-all. You know, at the beginning of this tell-all, I was all excited. I was like, there's 4 parts. They're following them behind the scenes. But now I'm like, I think it was a little too much. I definitely enjoyed following them behind the scenes and back at the hotel when they're all together. I really enjoyed that part. But I just feel like 4 parts of this was just a little too much. I feel like maybe 3 parts. 3 parts I could have been okay with. Or maybe they did 2 parts where they did 1 part where it was just all of them talking on stage and then another part of them behind the scenes. I don't know, but I just feel like 4 was a bit much. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Was it too much for you? And have I been saying that it was too much?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Okay, putting all that aside, where we left off in part 3 was Michael going over to Usman's room to talk to him despite Angela telling him that she didn't want him around Usman anymore. So he starts explaining to Usman about the Instagram thing and why Angela didn't want him to have it, and also why Angela doesn't want him around Usman, but Usman was like, no. I know why.
She don't want you to be around me because she feel like I'm a bad influence to you. Because she knows that I'm smarter than you. She knows that I'm smarter than you.
That's so funny. Usman's just like, yeah, I'm smarter than you. I know that. She knows that. Everyone knows that, Michael. Everyone knows that I'm smarter than you. I mean, is he lying though? Is he? If you look at his situation and you look at Michael's situation, I'm just saying. So basically, Michael just tells him, I want you to respect my wife the way you would respect me.
The way you respect me, I want you to please respect her.
And Usman makes a good point. She came at him first, so he just attacked back. So he's like, but basically they end it. He says, I have nothing but love for you guys. And Usman says, as long as Angela thinks that he's going to cause a problem, he's going to stay away because he does not want to be any more trouble for them.
I'll go away from him even if he says he wants to be around me. That's the reality because I don't want to be the cause to anybody's problem, you know?
So they part ways and there doesn't seem to be any hard feelings on either side. But this is like the last time that we hear from Michael for the end of the season. Okay, so we are back on stage now and the final couple they have to talk about is Yara and Jovi. One of the big things this season was Yara was thinking about getting a boob job because after motherhood, she said her boobs just did not look the same anymore and she just wanted them fixed. And she announces that she did have it done and she is very happy with them.
They don't look like trash bags anymore with pepperonis. They look great, nice, and I love it.
They actually point out that she went to the same surgeon as Angela did. And Angela said she was kind of upset because she didn't call her. And she's like, I would have loved to introduce you to him and been part of the process. And Yara's like, well, I was scared you would have like cussed me out or something. And she's like, I wouldn't do that to you, Yara. Already forgetting the day before when you did do that to her. But Sean brings up that Jovi actually left Yara while she was in the recovery process after the surgery.
Joey had a trip plans to Africa. It was hard for me because he left and I was still going to carry Milo because I will pick her up and I would have in the emergency room because they can, the stretches can work out.
Okay, so they bring on Jovi's mom, Mrs. Gwen. And she makes sure to point out that she was the one watching Mila majority of the time. Yara only had to be with Mila for a couple of days until Mrs. Gwen could take her. So Mrs. Gwen says she doesn't think that Jovi should have left his wife because she needed him and the trip could have waited. A few of the other cast members agree with her. My thing is, Jovi planned that trip 6 months in advance. Yara, I think, only planned that like a month out. So really, I agree. He should have gone. And he was with her for the first 10 days, which is probably the most painful and debilitating part of it. And then she only had to watch her for a couple days. And then Mrs. Gwen took over. And the thing is, this was a cosmetic surgery. It did not need to happen. If this was something life-threatening, something that absolutely had to be done very quickly, yes. Jovi, I say cancel your trip. It can wait. But the fact is, it didn't. His trip was planned first. But I'm guessing that Yara wanted to have this done and be healed in time for the tell-all. And one thing I want to make super clear, because I'm seeing this a lot online of people saying Yara's in the wrong here. Yara told him to go. She made that appointment and she said, you still go on your trip. So Yara is not mad at Jovi at all. She sent him on with her blessing, said he is depressed and he needs to go hang out with his friends. So you can't be mad at Yara for this because she told him to go.
Every day, so my feet was strong. I was taking her on my feet and I put her in the car seat with my feet. So it worked out. It's okay. It's all good. And I'm happy that he has a good time.
Even Andre kind of said like, oh, it's your fault. You let him go. And it's like, it's no one's fault. They made a decision. It seems what happened, though, is Mrs. Gwen is upset because they didn't plan accordingly. She said it should have been one or the other, and I agree. And I'm assuming they waited last minute to, hey, ask her for help, so which probably pissed her off as well.
Jovi, you brought up the idea of having a second child.
Yes, Mrs. Gwen is not a fan of them having a second kid.
You are on crack, all right? And not the good kind.
You always need a sitter for Mila. You can't have two.
And Yara isn't ready for a second kid either.
I am working, you're working, and baby, you can't just have a baby and let somebody else raise them.
Jovi explains that he would just really like to have his kids closer together so that they would have a closer bond. But Angela is suspecting that there is more to it.
And I think you think if a baby's pregnated, she won't be able to go out with her friends.
Andre also agrees with Angela on this, but he thinks it's for another reason.
In this relationship, we know that you're not the best looking. You still people, you know what I mean?
Hey, that's not nice.
That's fucked up.
We all know that Andre is just saying this to get back at Jovi for calling him out on his shit. That's my opinion anyway. Jovi, he's a good looking dude. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I guess comparatively to Andre, I think Andre is probably the more classically, but only with the beard. Like, now that he has the beard and the better haircut, he's way better looking. But, like, before, when he was just all baby-faced, I was like, no, not so much. But again, Andre's personality is so terrible, it's just a waste of a pretty face, in my opinion. At least Jovi seems cool. For the most part.
He's not the worst, okay? He's not the worst.
So Sean asks everyone if they think that Yara and Jovi depend too much on Mrs. Gwen. And pretty much everyone says yes. I do think they depend on her too much, but I think more importantly, they are pretty inconsiderate with her time. So they talk about how at the beginning of the season, her and Jovi were not speaking because Jovi and Yara felt that she wasn't coming around enough. Now, Jovi was working all the time and Yara didn't have her license yet, so she couldn't drive on her own. And Yara explains that she was really depressed at the time and was putting a lot of pressure on Jovi. So that led to them having a big fight because I guess it was around 6 to 8 weeks that Mrs. Gwen didn't come around. But Mrs. Gwen explains they moved 2 hours away from them, so she just cannot up and drive there every day anymore. Or even multiple times a week. And it seems like now things are a little better. Yara has her license, and when Jovi's there, they will drive to her if they need a babysitter or need help. But at that time, that just wasn't possible. That is part of the reason why Yara and Mrs. Gwen both think that they shouldn't have another kid right now, is that they're both busy all the time and do need help a lot. But Yara does start getting defensive because everyone is saying, you shouldn't be doing this, and even Andre is calling them them brats and spoiled. And she starts getting emotional about it because she does want to work and she does want to be a mom, but she's like, I just need help sometimes. And that is why I do not want to have another kid right now.
She's like, but I'm working, so I need my time sometimes. And that's it. That's why I don't want to have another baby.
Which then leads to Ed probably saying some of the dumbest shit that's ever come out of his mouth.
Women today are expected to have a full-time career, raise kids, come home, cook dinner, put the kids to bed, and then make a man happy.
Sweet baby Jesus, I swear, if I ever have to hear another fake feminist rant out of this dude's mouth, I'm going to explode. Seriously, this is coming from the same dude who told his fiance he did not want her to work because he wanted a wife. Like, a woman is incapable of working and being a wife also. I'm sorry, all the shit he has done, and then he has the nerve to do this. Like, go fuck yourself. Literally, go fuck yourself. I'm done hearing about him. I'm so unbelievably done with Big Ed. I've gotten way too much of him this season. I'm just, ugh. And Angela does point out how he's so nice to other women, but he never says anything nice to Liz.
You're so smart and caring to other women, but you don't never say nothing nice to her.
You don't know our story? You don't know our story?
I hate your face so much.
And again, I'm also annoyed with her because you had your chance. You had your chance to go apeshit on him and you disappointed us all.
You're too late.
So then they bring up how when they were in Europe visiting Yara's mom, they kind of sprung on Jovi looking at apartments to buy. And how Yara not only wanted to buy an apartment in Prague, but she wanted to put it just in her name and to have it for her and Mila. Yara defends this by saying how her mom got divorced when she was younger and her dad took everything from her mom, and she does not want to be in that position, and she doesn't always trust Jovi because sometimes he does stupid stuff, which she's not wrong. And also the fact that pretty much everything else is in Jovi's name just because of, like, you know, US paperwork and all that stuff. She didn't like have her stuff with her, so she couldn't be on everything. Not because he's keeping her off of it, but just because that's how it happened. And there's a lot of mixed opinions about this online. My personal opinion, and I want people to remember this, if you don't, when Yara first came to the US, she always said she never intended on living here full time. It was always going to be when Jovi went back to work, she was going to fly back to Ukraine to see her family. And then the reason they got married here was so she could come back and forth freely. But then COVID happened and the war and everything that has prevented her from being able to go home. And while I agree with everyone, I don't think the apartment should just be in her name because they are a married couple. I think the compromise should be that everything be in both of their names. So they go out, pull out all the paperwork for everything that they own here in the US and make sure that Yara's name is on it. And then they can purchase an apartment in Prague and just do half time in America and half time in Europe. I see international people, like couples, do that all the time. I know quite a few through my job who do that. So I just don't see why this should be like a big fight. Like, Yara has never wanted to just live in the US. She did this so she could go back and forth freely. And now it seems like the rules are changing. So then they bring up how Jovi and Yara plan on moving out of Louisiana too.
I want to move to Florida. I think it's the most reasonable place. I honestly don't really want to leave Louisiana so much, but...
This is a real dick move on their part. Mrs. Gwen points out why.
We just bought property to build a home to be closer to them.
What a dick move.
I really do not like the way Jovi and Yara are just writing off that they did this. Jovi saying he has to make his wife happy because if she's not happy, their marriage is going to be destroyed. So that's the reason they have to move, because she hates Louisiana. But it just really upsets me how they just writing off everything that she's done for them. And she was like, what about all this help that you needed? And Yara's like, well, she'll be in school soon. So it's like, oh, well, now you don't need me. So it doesn't matter. So yeah, in this instance, I really am kind of disgusted with them on that. That's really fucking rude. And I don't know, they should have their own life and should be able to move and everything, but you've spent the last however many years begging her to be coming over all the time and helping you and being there, and then when she's gonna move closer, you'll dip. Like, what the hell? And then they talk about Yara's friends, and they filmed a little get together with them, and one of them said something that wasn't too nice.
Well, because you're out of his league, I'm just saying, he's not like crazy attractive.
So Yara does say that she was wrong here. She says at first she didn't understand her friend, but then she just didn't say anything. And I may have an unpopular opinion here, but Yara, she was with her girls, and sometimes when you're just with your girls, they just try to hype you up. And yeah, sometimes that's putting your man down. I'm not saying that it's right, but you know, I don't think she was really trying to be shitty to Jovi, but I think it was so much just trying to hype Yara up. And just like a minute before this, Yara said how Jovi said her boobs didn't look good. So I just really think that was her friend trying to hype her up. That's all. So they bring on Yara's friend, Symphony, who isn't the one who said that about Jovi, but she was there that night. And she does say that she thought her friend was wrong and that wasn't very nice of her to say. And Jovi's saying how he doesn't really like Yara hanging out with them. He thinks they're a bad influence on her. And her opinion is she thinks that he doesn't like her hanging out with them because she is a single mom doing it on her own. She thinks that he thinks that Yara will get inspiration from her and get influenced by her specifically. Which of course leads Ed to stick his little ass nose in it again. He's been waiting to say shit on Yara this whole time. You know, he's just been wanting to shit on her.
You should have never married him, and now you're looking for a B plan B. Joey, I don't like you, but in this situation...
All right, can we shut him up already? Nobody wants to hear it.
Nobody wants to hear the... Nobody wants to hear the...
Just shut your goddamn mouth!
I really do not care if anyone agrees with Ed. I don't care what he says. I do not care. I'm done. I don't want to listen to him anymore. Doesn't matter if he's right. He could be right. You know, he could be giving me the cure to cancer. I don't care. I'm not going to listen to it.
You're a crybaby.
This is real rich coming from Ed. How many times have we seen him tear up this tell-all alone, let alone throughout the whole season? Like, oh my God. I can't believe he's resorting to like 3-year-old insults. Are you kidding me right now? Jenny is also done with Ed's bullshit, and honestly, there wasn't a whole lot about this episode that I found particularly exciting, but this was the best part. Jenny is the absolute shit.
Why don't you be quiet? You have insulted everybody.
You had your turn yesterday.
I'll be quiet. My turn is whenever I want to take my turn. Kiss my ass, dude.
Oh, shut up.
Oh. You shut up.
He's an awful, awful, awful man.
Anywho, Jenny's awesome. Ed's a dick. Moving on.
You can't even manage your family. You're not man enough to manage your family.
Okay, one last thing. Who the fuck is he to say that? He's been married one time. It lasted, what, a couple years before he cheated? And then he was single for 20 years, got into a relationship with Rose online, barely got it in, and then has been with Liz for, what, a year, 2 years? And they've broken up 10 times? And he wants to yell at Jovi about managing his family?
I'm losing my mind!
So Ed and Yara are going back and forth. Ed's calling Jovi a wuss, and he's calling him names, and they're just going back and forth, and Mrs. Gwen shuts them down.
What's wrong with y'all? Y'all all need to grow up. Oh my gosh. Ed, how old are you?
And with that, they say goodbye to Mrs. Gwen.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Gwen. Don't worry, Jovi's gorgeous.
And with that is the end of the Happily Ever After tell-all.
Happily ever after. Good job, everybody. Good job, good job, good job.
It's done.
Okay, so some of them hang out backstage for a few minutes.
Hey, powerful, strong lady. I had enough.
Proud of you. I'm so proud of you.
You guys.
So Jenny kind of lets us know how she was feeling.
Little Ed, is it little Ed? Big Ed? He should be little Ed anyway. Like, what is so special about him?
Nothing.
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 I just stopped him because I had enough.
Not the hero we deserved, but the hero we needed.
Okay, so for this last part, I'm really just gonna go over some of the bits that I personally find funny. A lot of it to me is kind of boring. This whole episode has been real boring to me, and I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of struggled to get through it. The best part was Jenny. Jenny was our shining star. So they're back at the hotel, and they're all kind of in the lounge area, I guess. Well, they're starting to all get into the lounge area, and Ed has a weird moment with the bartender.
What's your name? Valentino. Are you Italian? No. Okay, so am I. You lie. Yes, I am. Orderly. You are stupid.
Why are you insulting the bartender? I don't understand.
That's not the bartender too.
I thought I was Italian.
I just thought it was funny that he went up and asked the bartender if he was Italian, and then when they thought he was insulting him by saying, you're stupid, that he was like, oh, he thought I was Italian. No, you did. Like, what? Huh? Did I miss something?
It's his thing. He's a clone who will say clown, yes.
Then Jovi decides to go back to Ed and try to get him to apologize to Jenny and Yara for the way he spoke to them on stage, which, I mean, is noble of him, but it wasn't gonna happen. Big Ed, he's trying to act like Big Ed, and Jovi, he gets pissed off and says this.
He met me. Look, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
If you weren't around a bunch of people, you'd probably get your ass kicked.
Please, do it.
And then Jenny is trying to convince Liz to officially be done with Ed.
How can you even take him seriously? You deserve so much better. What are you doing with that guy?
So,
Yeah, focus on your daughter.
yeah.
And then Kim comes over and gives her advice.
Absolutely. Don't stoop to his level. You gotta stoop really low.
But I'm telling you, a glass of red wine on that white shirt would be everything. I would pay you to do it.
Someone needs to do something at this point, because this man is driving me insane. He tries to come over to Liz at one point and talk to her, but she says, no, I'm talking to my friends right now, so you can wait on me or you can leave. And he leaves, and then when he's up in the hotel room, he makes arrangements with the producer saying that Liz isn't going to be flying with him to Boston to some speaking engagement, which who the hell is paying Ed to speak anywhere?
We have people that are stupid.
I just wanted to confirm that Liz will not be accompanying me to Boston.
If you can please confirm accommodations for her to change her flight to go back to San Diego.
At her discretion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I don't know what they're paying this bartender, but I guarantee it's not enough. I really hope one of the producers or somebody on the TLC team went and gave this man a very large tip.
Are you married?
Yeah, how you know?
You got a brother?
Nah.
I don't have wild sex with someone new. I only have sex with one man for 5 years, and I've been treated like being loyal. So I think I just need to go explore.
Someone rescue him.
And then Angela goes and hangs out with Liz, Jenny, and Kim, and I would show you some clips from this interaction, but Angela says some pretty interesting things that I don't think are allowed on YouTube. So we've seen Angela, so I can let you just use your imagination if you haven't seen it. But later on, it's just Kim and Angela hanging out, and there's this one part that I find pretty funny.
You're gonna beat my ass. Well, I really was, Kim. I said this bitch say one thing out of her mouth and defend Usman. It's on.
That is one thing about Angela. You know exactly where you stand with her. If she does not like you, she is going to come right in and cuss you out and tell you. So I can appreciate that about her, at least. So they go into Kim's room to talk for a little bit, and Kim says to Angela that when Angela was talking about everything with the cheating and all of that with Michael, she saw Usman cry. I guess he had a tear coming down. I don't know if what she saw was real or if he was really that upset. Who knows, but Angela does seem to be touched by that. And then Bilal and Shida seem to have a very nice romantic night planned. He put a bunch of roses out on the bed for her, and they might be making a baby tonight. And then the next morning, everyone is leaving. Liz says her and Ed are officially done for good this time.
Ed and I are done. For good. This time. I swear.
I think you're lying.
Bilal and Shida seem to be in a really good place the next morning, and they're planning on business and babies and all that jazz. And Yara and Jovi unfortunately get into a fight because Jovi feels like Yara didn't apologize to him for what her friends said and her laughing. And Yara feels like she did. And honestly, I found it all kind of petty. And I really think Yara was in the wrong on this one because he's saying, you know, that he's still hurt by that. And I just feel like it wouldn't have killed her to be like, well, I'm sorry. To actually say it to him.
Like, how can I say I'm sorry?
You never said you're sorry.
I should have said, Jovi, I'm sorry. Please, Jovi, sorry. Forgive me. That's how you want me to be?
And if you look back, she didn't say that she was sorry to Jovi specifically. She said she was wrong, which in her mind probably feels like an apology, but he's still hurt by it. And I just feel like it wouldn't have hurt her to be like, oh, well, I am sorry about that happening, and I'm sorry I didn't express it clearly to you, or something along those lines. Like, your partner is still hurt, and it's not going to kill you to give him a little bit more of reassurance. And Angela doesn't know really what she's going to do yet.
Right now, divorce is definitely on the table. So I'm definitely going to file. That doesn't mean I'm going to sign.
Basically, this won't be the last we see of Angela, but I think we all know this by now. Anyway, guys, that is the last part of the Happily Ever After tell-all. The next spinoff, I do believe, is 90 Day Fiance The Other Way. I will be 100% covering that, so definitely look out for those videos. Also, look out for my 1,000-pound sister videos. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.